CL back with you on this Tuesday in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex. And when I left you, I said body language is important. Body language is beginning to show. I'm talking about the body language of CEOs in Ford, body language of people who are running major companies. They seem to have that good old American swagger back. There's a glide in the stride of American business right now. And as I told you, I truly believe that it is because of the man sitting in the Oval Office. It is because of the man sitting in the Oval Office who has a business-like approach to America and the business of America. One of the advantages that Trump has over the past president is that he's run business. He's signed paychecks. He's hired. He's fired people. And he understands what it takes to get a job done as far as putting the right people in the right places. That's what America needs. That is what America needs. There is no question about it. And I have to tell you something. Even though there are some people that are going to be hangers-on, there's a few going to be hangers-on, like James Comey. James Comey is going to remain director of the FBI. Now, I don't know, you may have your own opinion about James Comey and all of that, but I think that Comey is more than likely just saving face at this point, and he'll be ousted a little bit down the road. I doubt seriously he becomes the next J. Edgar Hoover. I think he will be ousted a little bit down the road. Okay? Now, check this out. As we look at the American landscape, how it's shaping up, and all of that, would you believe that Hillary Clinton very well may run for mayor of New York? That's just right now, it's just a flutter on the wind. It's not anything that has any teeth to it. Doesn't mean anything to us here in the South either. May not mean anything to you folks out west. But looks like she's not going to leave the political arena, which means that the environmental wackos from that neck of the woods and the progressive liberals from that neck of the wood, if they could get her elected to the mayoral chair of New York City, ousting Big Bird Bellagio, whatever his name is, it would be a major coup. It'd be a major coup. And I would not put it out of the realm of possibility. Well, I do put it out of the realm of possibility. She was beaten. She's been beaten twice for the presidency. Maybe the third time is a charm in her way of thinking, but I don't think so. I think she'll settle for being mayor of New York City and ride off into the sunset of Hillaryville and Clinton fortune that they made off the back of the people. So we're looking at American swagger back in the glide and the stride of American businessmen. We're looking at jobs, 28,000 jobs that could be created by this pipeline. You could get Junior and Sally off the couch if they could go to work. If they could go to work. And I'm telling you, just like when I went down to Morgan City, when I was in between high school and college, and a little bit between college and summer, the next summer semester out of college, Morgan City working offshore. This is the kind of jobs that would be equivalent to. They could send some money home to mom and dad. We could actually get America working again. And what happens when America's working again? I think crime actually goes down. I really do. I think that people have a better feeling about self-worth when they can work again. And folks, it has been 2 days, count them, 2 days, that the new president, I'll call him new president, the new president has been on the job in Washington, D.C., in the Oval Office. And new president has actually made much more of a dent in the American psyche as far as confidence is concerned than we have seen in a long time. And folks, we have been waiting 8 years, 8 long years for American confidence to be restored. But there's going to be a problem. I was on with Bishop E.W. Jackson and Alveda King a little bit earlier today, and the idea, I shared this with the group that was on the line with us. I had a chance to speak to them for a short time. I was their special guest today. And I want to tell you what I do believe is going to be very important to you and me as we head toward the first week and certainly the first year of the new Trump administration. And then coming up after that, I'm going to come in with Michelle. She's back. She's back. I talked her off the ledge. She's back, and we're going to talk about Washington, D.C., but I'm going to talk about to you, as well as Fair Park right here locally, what is going to be important to us to watch for in these weeks and days to come. I'm CL, this is CL Bryant Show. I want to thank all of our listeners wherever you are throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. CL back with you on this Tuesday, and it has been the last week. And do you realize that 1 week, not even a week has passed, not 1 week has passed since the inauguration of DJT. Now, folks, I was going to head up to the inauguration. Didn't get a chance to go because I was doing my thing, which is the Content of Character tour that I do every year. And North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, we were all there visiting with. I was there visiting with our grassroots people. But my trusted right hand, Michelle, she was there at the inauguration. She went to a few of the balls, and she was there with thousands of our closest friends, right, Michelle?
Thousands of our closest friends.
Let me ask you this right off back, because I told people that I'd ask you about this when you got back. Did you see the protesters? I mean, were they really visible? I mean, tell us about it.
They were visible. They were more, Saturday was the march, but on Friday was the inauguration. So their job on Friday, which was just handfuls of them, hardly
There weren't a whole massive.
But they were more like terrorists, because what they did was they stirred things up. Like if you wanted to enter to the inauguration, you had tickets, special places to be. It was difficult to get there because all the roads were closed, from the fact that they were closing them for the parade and the inauguration, plus closing them in strategic ways to subvert. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they would start riots. Our friend Rose Tennant has a video. She was at a section near my section, and couldn't get in.
Could not get
panic in the streets. She has a video, Facebook Live. She probably shouldn't have taken it, but there was just a handful of them, and they were terrorizing to the many layers of protection we had. It wasn't just police. It was every kind of police that you've ever imagined, CL. And it wasn't just men. It was women. Mm-hmm. It was just, and all of us were telling them thank you.
Yeah.
So, that was, and then Friday night for the Freedom Ball and the Liberty Ball. That was another opportunity.
It was massive. Jane and I were watching it on television. I tried to spot you, but I couldn't. There's no way. It was massive.
I was fainted because of my feet hurting so badly, because you had to walk miles.
Why is it? Wait. Why is it women will wear shoes that look really good, but they kill your feet? I mean, I had to take that rabbit trail.
Any shoe after 5 hours
is going to hurt.
Is going to hurt. That's high heels. Has high heels.
I would not know.
Okay.
But I do wear boots.
Okay. No, seriously. I mean, I came to that conclusion. So there were those people on Friday. They weren't protesting. They were just angry. We definitely think they were hired. It was obvious. There was only like 4 or 5 of them, but they were there. They would ride bikes in the traffic, going away the opposite direction of traffic. So they were doing everything they could to stir up trouble, and it was remarkable how nobody even cared.
That was their job. That's
their
what
job
they were.
Was to cause problems. You saw them. They burned, the
trash
cans.
I saw it. They
Reason?
broke out windows.
They broke out windows at a hotel I stayed at, the Hamilton Hotel. I wasn't there this time, but I've stayed there. And they just broke out windows.
Very nice,
And the Starbucks, what how is that? What is that? So we know that they were
Why
paid.
break the windows in a Starbucks?
But the next day was the women that had come from around the country. And there's a lot of interesting conversations. Some of those women, which it hurts me because I am a woman. Mm-hmm. I don't have to agree with them, but it doesn't make me any less of a woman.
Right.
I think what's come out of all of this is that we need to be able to have conversations with
each other. And you're a pro-life woman.
Yes, I am, but I'm not anti-women who have had an abortion.
Of course
I'm not anti-anything.
Well, some things, but you're not anti that.
I'm pretty much not anti. I'm for things. I'm for life, and I understand women, and I am a woman. So the march isn't just about that, but even within the conversation, it needs to be a conversation that women have about what it means to be pro-life, the different varying degrees of that. There's a lot of people that even locally did a little march.
You know what amazes me, Michelle, is that the one thing that I have always admired about women is that they talk. We men, we talk, but not in the way women talk. You know what I'm saying. Women.
I know. I'm married to a man, a Southern one too.
Women tend to talk about their children.
They share their feelings about
and
things.
their bodies.
Deep, intimate things.
They talk about things like that. But on this issue, it doesn't seem like the women are willing to talk.
I think they are. I think the leaders of the groups haven't been. I think that when it's in Washington, D.C., it's a lot of men that are pro-life. I think it needs to be women talking.
Yeah.
Women talking to their neighbors and not allow a difference of opinion to separate us. Our president said the first thing he said at the inauguration is about unifying us. And we had a lot of conversations with people there. And I'll tell you this, the Russians, if we're going to say the Russians are going to try to kill us, they're going to kill all of us, pro-life, pro-choice, Democrat, Republican, because to them, we're all Americans.
Yeah.
They don't see a difference. And we need to stop emphasizing the differences and sit down and have rational conversations.
Now, you weren't here when I asked this question.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Because only you, and I know that you're big into fashion and all this kind of stuff. Melania Trump, was she not, or was she not? Or was she so a knockout?
She was, but it's interesting to see how people criticize. Because she's beautiful, there are women that don't like pretty women. And
don't hate me because
I'm
pretty. Don't hate me because I'm pretty.
Right, just don't hate for any reason. Just give people a break. You know, reap what you sow. Sow kindness, overlook people. Be American. Tolerance is not getting irritated and offended every time someone shares their opinion. Whether I like your opinion or not, I don't have to get irritated, offended, and then try to burn your house down.
It was Muhammad Ali. It was Muhammad Ali who basically coined that phrase, don't hate me because I'm pretty. And
he wasn't pretty. Are you trying to say that about you, CL?
Oh, no.
No, CL says that. He says, don't hate me because I'm pretty.
Don't start nothing now. but I'm glad you're back. I had a safe trip. I was concerned about you. You were in our prayers. Jane and I were praying that you be safe because we didn't know. We didn't know what could occur then. But made it back safe and sound. Glad to see you. All right, I'm CL. We'll be back. Going to talk about Fair Park High School at the top of the hour. Very important. Craig Lee will be my guest.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
CL back with you on this Tuesday evening here in the jewel cities of the Arklatex. I am your native son, born and raised right here in the jewel cities, and of course left here for quite some time to seek whatever employment. No, my pastoral duties led me away for quite some time, but I graduated high school and started college right here in Shreveport. My high school alma mater is the venerable Fair Park High School. I am a graduate, 1974, and I don't care what anybody says, high school is always one of the largest memories, most important memories that you have, and you sort of grow beloved of your school. Even back in the times when I was there, when there was a lot of racial animosity that was going on at Fair Park High School. Now it's coming down the pike, and the word is that Fair Park very well could become a middle school, just like my junior high school, Lakeshore, became an elementary school. Didn't like that, but it happened. On the line with me now is Craig Lee. Craig, I want to thank you for being there. Thank you for coming on the show today to talk about my alma mater. I don't know if that's is that your alma mater too, Craig?
Absolutely.
Well, man, I knew that. You've been
class of 1985.
That's right. 11. That's right. You told. I knew that. I knew that. 11 years after I was there. And let me ask you this now. I see that there may be in your way of thinking, and I want you to explain it to us. There's a lot of backdoor politics going on here that's closing this one and keeping some open. Talk about it.
Well, what you basically have, CL, at this stage in the ball game, and I decided not to go to the Woodlawn meeting tonight because this is the initial component of the politics. So what you have a white school board member, Larry Ramsey, who represents the southwest portion of Caddo Parish Southwood High School, and you have another white school board member, Deanna Locke, who is the president of the Caddo Parish School Board, and she represents Southeast and Captain Shreve, and they want to preserve Woodlawn, although Woodlawn actually is the worst school in the district, not Fair Park, but Woodlawn.
Now, when you're talking about worst school in the district, you're talking about scores. Is that
yeah, well, not only scores, but in terms of the criminal behavior of students there and a lot of other issues that they have going on at the institution. But the performance scores was stated to be the reason that Fair Park was being targeted for assassination. But the reality is Woodlawn's performance scores from 2015 to 2016 is 48.1, and Fair Park's performance scores is 48.6. And we'll get into why those scores are so low from a historical standpoint, but just the politics up front, they want to preserve Woodlawn because if that school closes, now the 99.9% black population that is low performing, they're going to have to go to either Shreve or Southwood.
Wow. So it does, in your estimation, become a racial issue on that score alone in the way you're interpreting this.
That's one aspect of it, but also this brings in all children, regardless of ethnicity, because now our particular analysis gets to the heart of why a lot of white communities, typically who are the majority taxpayers in any particular city and county or parish, why a lot of them want to break away from the unitary school district and start independent school districts because it's nothing but a cash cow for corruption. And so we have the statistical data that I sent to you to prove that.
You know, I'm looking at over a period of time. In fact, I think it was 2013 to 15. I'm looking at per student, and this is nationwide. Craig,
Yeah,
$12,000 per student
yeah,
is
yeah,
spent. Where
yeah.
does that money go? I don't understand that.
Well,
What's happening
well,
to that money?
well. For you to really get a real good grasp of this, CL, what you need to look at is an analysis of your top private schools in Shreveport. Let's say St. Mark's Academy, right down the street from my house on Fairfield,
Yeah.
Calvary, Evangel, and then you look at something like Loyola, which is at the upper end. Their tuition, their private school tuition on the low end, $6,000. On the upper end, Loyola, $10,000. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So now they don't have any or hardly any certified teachers. All right. So from that overall standpoint, you have a situation where, bam, the money that is going out to help educate a child is actually lower than that national average that you just quoted. And here in Shreveport, where we're looking at Fair Park with $14,766 per child.
Wow.
And Woodlawn, their particular number is, I'm looking at theirs, they are at $15,000
Wow.
per child, or $15,256 per child, and Booker T. Washington is $13,771 per child.
Wow. Craig, you know what you have just pointed out, it seems as though the less performing schools per child they're spending more money on the failing schools.
Now the reason that is, CL, is because the federal government recognizes the historical impact of slavery and Jim Crow. So in order to make up some deficit, some learning deficit, more money is being put out to help those students come up.
But it hasn't helped. It hasn't helped.
But here's the reason why. When you look at the data that I sent to you,
I'm looking at it.
these people are 90% of the money that is allocated to these children is going towards salaries and benefits.
Oh, okay. Okay.
See, that's the game. See, no business. If you were to ask the owner of your station, and I think he is a graduate of Fair Park as well, but if you were to ask any business owner, could you function with labor cost and benefit cost for your labor being over 40%? They'll tell you, we got to fire some people.
Right.
These people are running, all of these school districts throughout the country are running a hustle on the taxpayers. It's not the children's fault. It's not the parents' fault because they don't know. But they know, in terms of the school districts, that they are running a hustle trying to sell people on this illusion of certified teachers at the expense of these children, when in all actuality what they're putting in these schools are substitute teachers who are not qualified to teach a dog how to run after a cat.
Now, folks, I'm going to get both sides of this. I'm certainly hoping to get both sides of this. We're hearing the one side from Craig Lee. Craig, stay with me through the break because this is provocative. This is incredibly provocative. I want to talk more with Craig Lee, community activist, when I return. CL, back on this Tuesday evening. And, something very, this is a very provocative conversation. I'm going to put this out here right now. Now, we're hearing the side as to why we should not close Fair Park, and I'm making it as open as I possibly can. We want the opposition opinion to come on and share their opinion. All of you know, I've been on the air nearly 3 years now. Came on telling you where I was from and all that, and Fair Park, of course, is the largest, one of the largest parts of my life, and so I want every one of you to understand that I love the school, period. I love the school. It's an old, venerable school. And on with me now is Craig Lee, who was saying that this school is in the crosshairs because they are very reluctant to close Woodlawn because of where those students would have to disseminate to and go to. He's also saying, folks, that the monies that have been spent over a period of time has not gone to the education of the children. Yet there are people who are always crying and saying, well, we spend a lot of money on education. If I'm hearing Craig right, his question is, do we really spend that money on the education of the child? And I want him to continue with his conversation. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, and so what the superintendent and the union advocates for the teachers will say is that no. See, this is not like working at General Motors where you're making a product. See, all of the money has to be given to the teacher in order for us to teach. Well, let's look at that. So this is a knowledge-based industry, and you are in a knowledge-based industry as it relates to intellectual capital being put on air. Well, you bring people in, specialists and whatnot, in order to help enhance your particular show.
Right.
So from that overall standpoint, they don't do that. And if they do that, they would want you to come in as like a volunteer. But they're putting all of the money into this whole bottomless pit, and they're redirecting the resources. For example, CL, if you look at that document on a per pupil current expenditures, and if you look at Fair Park, for example, and it says that you have the $14,766 in the estimated current expenditures per pupil. In the other column next to it, it says central office overhead per pupil.
Yeah.
Now, I thought that was just for Fair Park, but then I looked at Booker T. Now I say, okay, well, maybe that's just for the Title I schools, and Title I is a special designation where federal funds are going to socially and economically disadvantaged schools and the children that's there, because they are supposed to get more than less. Okay.
Yeah.
So I looked at Woodlawn, 1977. Well, I said, well, let me look at Byrd, let me look at Cattle Magnet, 1977. So here's what I'm telling you. Out of every dollar that comes in, each allotment for the child, the school board is receiving for central office overhead now, salaries, benefits, they're receiving $19.77 per child.
Wow. So
we have over 41,000 children in our school district. So CL, their operating budget just to administrate is $81,057,000 plus. And the majority of the schools are low performing.
That's incredible.
Now, in corporate America, there is no way that stockholders would allow this to happen. But what you have, the people who are supposed to be the board of directors, our school board members, both black and white, incompetent. They don't even understand these particular issues, especially as it relates to the revenue figures. So you have a group of intellectual or pseudo-intellectual gangsters who are actually selling this illusion of education
Wow.
And they are robbing the taxpayers and cheating these children and their families. And then they're cheating the city of Shreveport, the parish of Caddo, because we don't have people who are producing the intellectual capital to then create businesses, industry, where they can contribute to the tax base. And then everybody is looking for a public sector job at the school board, the police department, the sheriff department, the city of Shreveport, and now all of that is funded by what? Tax dollars.
Wow, Craig, you make an incredibly compelling case, and I am inviting anyone with an opposing view to come on. Michelle has the door open for you. We've reached out. I'm going to make this common knowledge, public knowledge. We have reached out to those on the other side of Craig's view for you to come on, because the indictment, and that's exactly what was been laid out here. There is an indictment against the policies, the mismanagement, if there is, slothfulness, and of the Caddo Parish School Board. And if Craig's indictment is anywhere near correct, there need to be the pitchfork should hit the street. So let me tell you something. The other side, you need to come on, and you need to plead your own case to the largest listening audience this time frame that we have. And so we need to hear it.
So yeah, let me tell you this. Fair Park High School, they have 700 students right now, a little bit over 700. And roughly, and these numbers are from 2014, 2015 in terms of the revenue allotment. So that means that Fair Park is a $10.3 million revenue asset for Caddo Parish, all right?
Wow.
CL, though you and I have diametrically opposing views on many things, I know if you and I and the other Fair Park alums, which is what we're going to be doing as we get ready to file our lawsuit, if we're in control of $10.3 million and we could then attract another 500 students to Fair Park, which we would be in control of about $17 to $18 million, there is no way in the West here that we would not be able to take Fair Park from a FD school to a BA school in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
Because the money would stay at the institution, and we would provide great pay for teachers, but we can now bring in other teachers who are not traditional. See, they're still going under the model that you have to have a college degree, master's, whoop the whoop, and most of these people are not passionate. They don't have the skill to actually teach. So it doesn't matter about the construct of the term certified teacher if you don't have the passion to extrapolate the latent abilities that lie dormant in a youth, and now pair that latent ability with the information that you need to, or you're trying to get across.
I now must make it my business to find out what's going on here. I've been on the road, Craig, a lot, and this was brought to my attention actually when I was in Georgia. And now that I'm aware of it and aware of what's going on and the coming, listen, there is a coming fight over this. There's no question about it. Whether you're right, I'm right, or they're right, there's a coming fight over this. And there is an awakening that is happening. And, Craig, I want to thank you so much for coming on with me. Got to have you back here next week. God bless you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, it is. All right.
I'm CL Bryant Show. We will return after the break. Yeah. Yeah, we spend money on education throughout the nation, right? We do. We spend a lot of money on education throughout the nation. And the question that we have had for years now, 30 years, we've had this question. Why aren't we getting the product that we spend the money for? And Craig is right. There's a lot of political things that we beat our heads against the wall for and against. He and I are diametrically opposed on many political, maybe even social issues. But this is one I can tell you that he and I are looking at out of the same looking glass. Because I'm wondering why, you should be wondering why, we're not getting the bang for our buck out of our school system. I'll take your calls, 318-320-5335, 318-320-5335. Caller, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
CL.
Yes.
Hey, it's Pat Boris. How are you doing?
Hello, Pat. What's going on, man?
I'm great. Just wanted to call in and say hello. And there's a number of tough issues facing our cities and region, and the Fair Park situation, the issue of it possibly going from a high school to a middle school is one of those issues. The Independence Bowl, which up until about a week ago or so was called the Camping World Independence Bowl, is another issue. We've talked for over a year now about the moving forward of the project of I-49 just west of downtown, being the major catalyst for Shreveport, Bossier, and the Arklatex region. And quite honestly, CL, all this fits together in a puzzle. And, we've made some missteps over the last 30-plus years when it comes to the Independence Bowl, when it comes to not building I-49 just west of downtown. And I suggest to you, when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, back when you and I were in high school, there were some 60,000 kids in the Caddo Parish school system, and today there's 41,000.
Yeah.
And that's why we're looking at decisions that we really don't want to be making. And, I don't think Fair Park High School should close as a high school. Just looking at it from afar, I think we need to do what's right and grow the city and the region. And but I do understand the Caddo Parish school system only has 41,000 students instead of 60,000 students like it did when we were in school. You finished at Fair Park in 74. I finished at Captain Shreve in 79. And had we done the right things business-wise for all people to have jobs and careers here, first of all, in the last 40 years, we wouldn't have lost 40,000 very talented young people.
Let me ask you this, Pat. Let me ask you this. Why didn't we do the right thing, in your opinion?
Because Shreveport, Louisiana has always been controlled by a very powerful group of people, and it has been in their best interest to control and squeeze down the city, period. And quite honestly, whatever decision is made, we're reaping the non-fruits of. I mean, come on, CL. In 1974, when you're graduating from Fair Park,
yeah,
Shreveport, Louisiana is in the WFL Football League, competing with 28 and 30,000 people at the time,
yeah,
going to State Fair Stadium at the time, competing against Houston and Chicago and San Francisco.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I mean, in fairness to Marcus Lemonis, the CEO of Camping World,
nothing.
And I want to talk about this too. I mean, we've got media people in this city right now saying, "Oh, well, Marcus Lemonis only wants to offer $550,000 for the title sponsorship of the Independence Bowl, and we'll just have to de-emphasize the bowl game and go with smaller leagues rather than staying with the SEC and the ACC." And that's 5 days after the man said he wanted to pay $550,000 for a title sponsorship, which, I mean, I'll tell you straight out, he put up decent money the first 2 years.
You know what? We know what's important, and what I'm really looking at here, Pat. You just said it indirectly. We fail to think big and outside of the box. We settle. Shreveport has always been a town that decides to settle.
That's why I'm calling tonight, because I'm pissed off about it. There's no reason for Fair Park or the Caddo Parish school system to be in this situation, okay? And there's no reason for the Independence Bowl to settle tonight on having to accept an offer of $550,000, and people get mad and say, "Oh, well, if we don't take this $550,000, that number might go to zero." Well, you know what? That's business. If I buy advertising on the CL Bryant Show for 2 years at a certain amount per spot,
Yeah.
and decide I don't want to buy it at that rate in year 3,
Right.
I don't get to decide what rate I want to buy it at. CL Bryant gets to decide
Right.
what rate he wants to sell it to me at.
That's correct.
Okay? That's business.
That's business.
And so that's what we're talking about here. In other words, and what hacks me off is, look, Marcus Lemonis might be right. Maybe the title sponsorship of the Independence Bowl is $550,000 a year, but we just can't hand it to him for $550,000 until we investigate out in the open market what it's truly worth. And the reason I called you, and people don't understand, and I'm going to get calls on this, and people are going to be frustrated. In 1993, I worked for the Independence Bowl, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Poland Weed Eater was the title sponsor. They were the first title sponsor beginning in 1990. They put all their financial advisors and attorneys on the board of the bowl to protect their sponsorship. And when I'm working for the bowl game, we wrote letters with a first right of renewal for Poland Weed Eater. And guess what happened? The CEO of Poland Weed Eater got pissed off and said, "No, we want to keep the title sponsorship. We don't want other companies looking at this." And that wasn't his right because he didn't own the bowl game. He was the title sponsor.
It has come, we're still, you know what, Pat, this is amazing to me. Shreveport, and Pat, thank you. I got to go. I'll hear the music.
Sounds good.
But listen, man, thank you so much for your call.
Keep fighting it. All right.
We will return. There's a lot more for us to talk about tonight. Be right back.
Okay.
CL back with you on this Tuesday evening here in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, welcoming aboard all of our friends throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. That is America. And I want to welcome also our listeners in southern Arkansas, East Texas, and WLTT there in Wilmington, North Carolina. Thank you for welcoming us into your family. It is I, your native son, CL Bryant. This is the CL Bryant Show. On the line with me is Adriana Boyne, now who is a consultant, freelance analyst, strategist, and public policy wonk, no question about it. Business and marketing is also a part of her expertise on Hispanic issues. Also, she is senior public policy advisor with PIC, Public Integrated Communications. Welcome to the CL Bryant Show, Adriana Boyne. Adriana, hadn't seen you in a long time. How have you been?
I've been doing well, and it's show CL. God blessings to you.
God bless you as well. It's been a couple of years, I think, since I've seen you with my good friend Catherine Engelbrecht. And you were shaking it and moving it. You were shaker and a mover then, and I imagine you still are. Let me ask you this. Now that we have elected this new administration, I think we have an opportunity for communication in ways that we have not had, both with minority communities, Latino community in particular, for this conversation. How are you seeing that shake out? Is there the division in the Latin community that the progressive liberal news media would want us to believe as far as Donald Trump or this new administration is concerned, in your opinion?
Well, there is always that progressive liberal media that try to deceive not only the Latino population, but any other minority on what we really, the conservatives, care about it, which is certainly to respect the rule of law, and that we want limited government, less taxes, better economy, and more jobs for all the people in America. But certainly, we do know that President Trump ran in certain promises, but some people kind of feel that those promises have to do a certain date in a certain way. I just believe that the spokesperson Spicer explained very well that President Trump prefers to focus on those people who are in this country illegally but have a record, a criminal record, or pose a threat to the American people first, because we all care about it. So that's where right now the people is a little bit confused. Some of them are angry, some of them are happy, but we just have to listen what the spokesperson of the president said.
And voices like yours, Adriana, are very important, and I'll tell you exactly why. You, being an American just like me and just like anyone else in this country, we are beginning to hear the progressives in Hollywood paint this narrative that there are people who have been in the shadows who are fearful, who are afraid of what is going to happen if, in fact, this president, does what he was saying on the campaign trail. This is the question that I have for you. Anyone who is here legally, or anyone who is here who is not a criminal, they really should not be fearful regardless of if they're Latin, European, or wherever they are from. There is a rule of law is what I'm getting at. And should we uphold that rule of law, Adriana, does that not play into the conversation, whether we're talking about whoever it is that's here illegally? What do you say about that?
Well, absolutely there is a rule of law. And absolutely, as you say, those who are here legally or those who have not committed a crime. But we need to focus and speak a little bit about those people who did not make the choice to be here. And one of the things that I always said as a conservative who believes in the right to life of those unwanted and unplanned, there is also those unwanted and unplanned that not necessarily are inside of their mother's womb, but who came to the United States because their parents make the decision to come illegally and bring these minors into the country. Those are called the dreamers. And these dreamers are the ones who receive from President Barack Obama that deferred action for childhood arrivals known as DACA. And President Trump said he will finish DACA, but he didn't say that he will deport these specific children because these kids, these minors, did not make the decision to come here illegally. Their parents did that decision. So that is a situation where the president and Congress need to discuss what are they going to do with these individuals. Why? We have the situation that the Supreme Court of the United States says that every minor in this country must to receive a free education. If we like it, we don't like it, that's what the law says. As an American, we should try to change that law, but the Supreme Court said that's what it happened. So these kids are here, these minors. What is going to happen? We don't know. All that we know is that President Trump is trying to do something that is realistic and compassionate towards these individuals, which is very different to the others who decide to break the law.
I like what you're saying. I like what you're saying, Adriana. Realistic and compassionate, because that is not what the progressive liberal media. That's not how they're painting it. I want to shift gears right now. Now, pick public integrated communications. Tell us a little bit about that on the other side of the break. When I come back, I'm with Adriana Boyne, who is the senior public policy advisor for PIC. We're going to talk a little bit about that when I return. I'm CL.
Thank you.
CL, back with you on this Tuesday here in the jewel cities of the Arklatex, streaming live throughout the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, America. And on the line with me is Adriana Boyne, who is the Senior Public Policy Advisor with an organization called PIC, acronym PIC, Public Integrated Communications. Adriana, tell us a little bit about PIC. What is that?
Well, actually, PIC was started by two, they are American citizens, but they are originally from Venezuela. And we just joined in a team of people who are mainly Latinos who have conservative fiscal and social issues. We have a team which is very diverse on a line group of professionals that we deliver in all types of communications. We are strategists, analysts, communicators. We have creative talent, managers, designers, etc., community managers. But certainly what we do is create brands, concepts, products. And in my case, I do consulting on political campaigns. I'm being involved at the state level with Supreme Court justices or with some candidates for president. And we also work in other parts of the world, not only in the United States. Every country that has a candidate who believes in limited government and in free trade, we just believe that we can help.
And you know, what you are saying are conservative principles, and this is the question that I want to ask you, because I don't see it so much in the black community, and I'm not certain if it exists in the Latin community. The conservative radio, conservative voices that have a platform or have a megaphone as far as radio is concerned, is the conservative message as prevalent in the Latino community as it is en masse in America? Or is there a need for that? I want to talk to you about that.
You know, you just hit in the right question, CL. I do have a weekly radio show that is called Voces con Adriana Boyne, which is a conservative talk show, public policy from conservative views. I also have some progressives coming in the show and debating me and giving their points of view so that people can hear in Spanish what is my difference with them. But I do believe that we need absolutely not only more, but more opportunity. But this is my opinion on the Spanish-speaking Latin type of conservative information and radio show, is that we do not have the funds to really to expand it in a broader way. For example, Spanish TV do not have a conservative talk show. I am in a Spanish TV all the time. Why? Because I'm a guest of a liberal. I'm even a guest of Jorge Ramos in Al Punto or a guest of Telemundo, and I come as a contributor as well. But there are always people who are either moderate or on the left inviting me. And the reason I use these opportunities is because there is no conservative show, and I wish that there would be more people who will encourage so we can afford to have these type of shows with the Latinos.
In just about, I would say, 90 to 120 days from now, Adriana, I have ordered Rosetta Stone and also have Babbel. I am trying to learn the Spanish dialect, just so that I can, in fact, I'm going to call you probably next week.
Come to my show.
I'm going to talk to you. I need to talk to you about an idea that I have. I think you're going to like it. And but anyway, I'll talk to you in about a week or so about it. Now,
Sure.
let's talk about this as far as the presidential. I'll call them edicts at this point in time. Trump is delivering to the American people by way of the executive orders, these presidential edicts. Is that the way? Both of us are grassroots people. Both of us are constitutionalists. This, even though I like what Trump is doing, so far. I really do. But presidential orders and presidential executive orders is exactly what I didn't like in so many instances about Barack Obama.
Yes.
I didn't like that because we did not elect a king. We elected people
Yes.
to speak for us. How do you view this? Is this something that can backfire?
Yes, I agree with you. I think that this needs to go to Congress, and Congress is the one who needs to approve that there is some sort of immigration reform. We certainly need the health care, the not only the repealing that we already saw, but the replacing. We need to see tax reform. That's very important. All those that it needs to come in Congress. We have a system of three powers, and I think that the powers have to be balanced. I agree with you that certainly he's doing what he has to do, but we don't like executive actions. He has to pass in Congress. But this is the interesting thing, CEO. Many years ago, there was a program that was called the Bracero program. That Bracero program was a guest worker visa that people could come to the United States, work, and then come back, and being coming back and forth. But it was actually LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, a Democrat, who decided to get rid of that guest worker visa. You know, and the liberals need to know that the Democrats are the ones who destroyed. And what we need is something like that, so that people that we need from other countries in specific skills can come back and forth without the need of bringing their families illegally into. That's the reason when we got rid of that a lot of illegal immigration came to be with the family.
Because the fact of the matter is there are many, many jobs that are filled by people who come here from south of the border. That's just a fact. And so so I do believe that Trump's compassion as far as that is concerned is coming into play. Now, we're going to see how this plays out over a period of time. Adriana, I want to thank you so much. It's good to connect with you again. I'm going to call you perhaps next week. Don't be surprised when I call. I want to talk to you about an idea that I really think you're going to like. And so God bless you.
Absolutely.
And God keep
I
you.
look forward for your call, and thank you for having me in your show on this evening.
Oh, you'll be on regular. I promise you. Talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
I'm CL. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Well, the United States has a new UN ambassador. She is Nikki Haley, governor of South Carolina, confirmed unanimously. And that's good, even though, hey, it's not the attorney general that we definitely need in place. But the Dems aren't playing nice. They're not going to play nice. There are some people who don't play nice in the sandbox. Michelle, don't play nice in the sandbox. But just the same, the truth of the matter is we need an attorney general. We need him confirmed. And Chuckie Schumer, who took over for Harry Reid. I like what Rush calls Harry Reid, Dingy Harry. It's funny. But Chuckie Schumer, I got to come up with my own personal name for Chuckie Schumer. We'll call him Chuckie. We'll call him Chuckie. Chuckie is not wanting to play nice with any of the Trump nominees. He's wanting to grandstand as much as he possibly can. But we need an attorney general, and Jeff Sessions is going to be a great attorney general. But there is a culture, there's an element of fear that is being spread throughout America by the progressive liberals, because that is now the only way that they can control their voting bloc, is to keep them afraid. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? If you're in a relationship and the only reason that you're remaining, and listen to me, anybody, male or female, whoever you are, husband, wife, boyfriend, or girlfriend, if you're in any type of relationship and the only reason you stay is because you are afraid, flee. Flee quickly. Democrats, I have a feeling, I'm going to make a projection. I am going to, because I envision this, the cover has been blown off of the Democrats behind. And they are being exposed in many ways for who they have been over the years, who I have been telling people they are for over the years, and who they are for real. In real life. Pardon me. About to get over the cold, but bear with me. Now, when we look at the state of education in this country, let's go there. Because, there was a compelling argument made for sloth and mismanagement of money, not only here locally, but nationally. There was an indictment made that the educational system in this country is a hustle. We had Craig Lee on talking about that a little bit earlier. And folks, it's hard not to believe it. Are you hearing me? 320-5335, 318-320-5335. It's hard not to believe it when you look at the product that your tax-paying dollars are affording. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that our kids aren't worth, the kids that are not worth spending the money on, but shouldn't we expect some type of product that is usable when you spend $13,000 per student? Shouldn't you expect that? Because if you're not getting what you're paying for, you have to ask yourself, where's this money going? Why am I not getting what we're paying for per student, per capita around the country on average. America is spending $12,000 yearly per student. That's on average. Obviously, here in the jewel cities, we're paying a little bit more, but we're not getting the product. And it seems as though that in the schools, now I'm looking for the opposing view on this. I need some clarification on this. It seems as though we are spending a lot of money. It seems like the most money is being spent on the failing schools. And from what we were told, the guise is that we have to spend more money on these students in order to make them better. But the idea is, and the question is, are we spending the money on them? I'll be back in a minute.
One, two, 1, 2, 3.
CL back with you on this Tuesday home stretch of the CL Bryant Show. Take a couple of calls, 318-320-5335, 318-320-5335. On the line with me is Big Papa. Big Papa, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind, friend?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Talking about the school system here in Kettle Parish.
Yes, sir.
I'm a grandfather of 4 children that go to the Kettle Parish system, and I see in the cafeteria when I go eat lunch with them more food wasted than what they're consuming.
Yeah.
And also too, they're eating at a styrofoam plate.
Yeah.
I see a big reduction in cost here. We might change some of them ways.
Well, yeah. There's all kinds of ways that we can save money on these kids. But Big Papa, this is really what I'm interested in. I want to get your take on this. Now, my kids, of course, went to public school too, and all of that. I'm a product of public schools right here in Shreveport, Louisiana. Graduated from Fair Park, and I remember back in the day when they weren't spending all that money that they're spending now on kids, but somehow, Big Papa, I'm thinking we got a better product than we're getting now. I don't know where it went wrong. I don't know where it went south, but somehow we've got to hold somebody accountable. What do you say about it?
It's all the governor's fault. Blame it on the governor.
Yeah, him or the Russians. One of the.
Hey, check this out. I also too saw in the Cattle Parish school system that there's more books. There's kids not reading than there are kids reading.
Well,
and,
yeah.
And I can see how we can save some of them costs right there where I just mentioned and put into the library system. But their schools wanting to close down the libraries.
Yeah, and the thing about Americans and American kids in particular, we'll watch a movie, we'll listen to music, but Big Papa, we're not reading much anymore, man. We're just not doing it unless it's on the internet and it's some kind of foolishness. That's what's happening. Man, I want to thank you for your call. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much. I want to reiterate what he's saying. There is a lot of waste, both food-wise and as far as academia is concerned. There's a lot of waste as far as not taking advantage of the capital that we have in the child, in the young person. But that brings me to this point. That age of innocence. And all of you know what I'm talking about who are my age, maybe a little younger, and if you're over 50, you know what I'm talking about. If you're over 50, you know what I'm talking about. Well, maybe if you're over 40, you know what I'm talking about. There was an age of innocence. It was beginning to fade somewhat when I was graduating from school, and I saw it diminish even more. Craig said that he came along in 87, 86, I think he said, which was 11 years after me. No, he came along in 85, which is 11 years after me. And I could see how it had diminished even more when he came out of school. But there was a time when a high school kid was, in fact, a high schooler. You know what I'm saying? But now, the junior high school kids are probably as sophisticated as I was when I was a junior or senior in high school in just about every way you could imagine. Yeah, they're much more sophisticated than I was when I was a junior or senior in high school. But this is something that we had that the juniors and seniors in high school today did not have. We were determined to get ours. Get our car, get our apartment. and I don't, depending on your priority list, those were the priorities. Those were mine, basically in that order: get a job, get a car, get an apartment. And I had all those before I got out of high school. Yeah, I was 17 when I got, my own apartment, and I was almost about to be 16 when I got my first car. I'd worked for it. Yeah, I was 15, just about to be 16 when I got my first car. And of course, I had a job since I was old enough to tote water to the fields to my grandfather. Yeah, in the summertime, my job was to tote water. I've always worked hard at whatever it was, manual labor, whatever it was. So I see a difference there in the mindset of kids. Because, see, we didn't have none of this stuff. I remember when the video game and I was grown then. In fact, Jane and I had been married 2 or 3 years when this came out. It was called Pong. Do you remember? Anybody out there old enough to remember Pong? Pong was a black and white ball on a screen that went from one corner of the screen to the other while you hit it with a movable electronic paddle. So we didn't get too engulfed in that, although it was addictive. I'll be back to close it out in just a minute. Yeah, I just got this text from someone who remembers Pong. Yeah, it was the Stone Age, no question about it. I think fire had just been invented a year or two before then, and the wheel a little bit after that. But Pong, it was primitive. It was primitive. But Jane and I, we liked it. Came in late from work, and we play Pong. You really go crazy. You get two paddles, and man, you try to outdo each other. It got faster and so forth. Oh, that was the, I don't know what you call it, of our day. We weren't sophisticated at all. Not at all. It was an age of innocence. It truly was. But as we move on here in our nation with the new administration, just 2 days into the new administration, I'm not going to count Saturday or Sunday, just 2 days into the new administration, there is reason for all of us, I truly believe, if you want to be hopeful. If you want to be a stick in the mud, you can be that too. And it looks as though the Democrats and many progressive liberals are going to choose the latter, to be a stick in the mud. But you know what? I have a feeling that they are going to be exposed for the sticks in the mud that they have always been. Yeah. I have a feeling that those who will be successful, and I believe that's exactly what we're getting in this administration and this new president, I believe we're getting someone who is familiar with failure and success, and someone who is dedicated to a degree of excellence that he, I think, I'm really hoping this, because what happens in any company, any church, and I know it happens in countries too, because believe it or not, America, we had taken on the personality in our national personality of our former leader. And what the breath of fresh air that's happening in America right now is that we have a new leader that's bringing us a new attitude. I want to thank God for bringing us to the close of yet another day. And I want to thank him for our men and women in uniform around the globe who defend our right to speak our mind. And until I'm able to talk to you again, I'm CL, and may God bless and keep you all.
And to the families left behind, we'll stand by your side, and the bond will never